guys, before we really get into it, I just wanted to first of all say thank you to all of you, the Nicholas Oresco Community School, and of course these three candidates for giving us their evening at the end of the campaign trail. So let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you. Now, I think most of you know me, but just in case you don't, I'm the most bombastic, bodacious, eligible bachelor this side of Broadway, John R. Highness from Hudson County View. And today, I'm joined with the Jersey Journal's distinguished, they call it the back truck, Corey McDonald. So, for those of you that aren't aware of the format, let me just quickly tell you that we're going to give everyone a chance to do a 2-minute intro. Then from there, we're going to do a question and answer session, and that's obviously going to take up most of the debate, and everyone there is going to have a minute to answer each question, and every candidate will have the opportunity to do a 30-second rebuttal. So without further ado, let's get to the intros. Mayor Davis, you can lead off.
Good evening, everyone, and I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. I want to thank John and Corey for hosting this, and most of all, I want to thank the two candidates to my left. This is not a simple thing. When you run for election, it's really tough because it's hard on your family and it's hard on your personal life. 4 years ago, the people of Bayonne did something unprecedented when they went to the polls and unseated a mayor and 5 sitting council members. 4 years ago, the people of Bayonne stood up and demanded their voices be heard. 4 years ago, the people of Bayonne spoke loud and clear that they were sick and tired of the same old thing from their elected officials. 4 years ago, the people of Bayonne desperately wanted change. And 4 years later, our administration has given the change they believe Bayonne so badly needed. Just look around you. Walk the streets of Bayonne, drive down to the military ocean terminal, or just visit City Hall. 4 short years later, Bayonne looks different, it sounds different, and it feels different. It looks like it's grown again. It sounds like it's alive again. And it feels like something good is happening again. Come to think of it, it doesn't look or feel or sound different. It looks, feels, and sounds like it should. 4 years later, and Bayonne is starting to look and feel and sound like Bayonne again. I ask one question. Is Bayonne better off than it was 4 years ago? And the answer is absolutely yes.
Thank you, Mayor Davis. Dr. Brown?
My name is Mitchell Brown, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a physician in the community. I practice internal medicine and geriatrics. I've been practicing here for over 20 years. I also live in the community. I live in Midtown, and my office is in Midtown as well. I'm here I'm running on a platform of restoring fiscal responsibility to municipal government here. Bayonne has been, for the past several administrations, a tax and spend town. We run structural deficits on the order of $24 to $30 million every year. We spend just about every penny that we get in property taxes on municipal payroll. Okay? And if we don't realign our budgetary priorities, we are going to not be able to enjoy the things that other municipalities have and things that we want. Things like animal shelters, things like services for seniors, lowering of property taxes. The municipal spending here has gotten out of hand. I don't believe the mayor has done anything to get the budget under control, to streamline the budget. The payroll is fairly outrageous and takes up every tax dollar that we have, so we have nothing else for anything else. So that's my platform, getting fiscal responsibility back to municipal government, streamlining payroll, and improving the city in terms of more services for everything else. We want to fix the library, we want to have services for seniors, we want animal shelters, we want increased pay for teachers, we want increased recreational facilities and possibly a community center. We're not going to have those things if we keep re-electing administrations that are tax and spend.
15 seconds, Doctor.
And so basically that's my platform, that we got to stop taxing and spending, we got to cut the fat in City Hall, we got to streamline payroll.
Go ahead, Jason.
First of all, thank you all for being here this evening. Participation in these type of events is a wonderful thing. It allows our city to engage and find out what the issues are. John and Corey, thank you for putting the time in. I know this was arduous at best, getting this together, but thank you. Over the last couple of weeks, Mayor Davis has accused our campaign of being negative. I can stand in front of you today and tell you everything that we have said is 100% accurate. Whether you're with me or against me, I can promise you that every person in this room will have to pay for the last 4 years of the Davis administration. 4 years ago, then candidate Jimmy Davis said he would not give out tax abatements to developers. But once he was elected, he handed out 40 of those multi-million-dollar tax breaks to his rich developer friends. In those deals, he did nothing to make sure Bayonne jobs went to Bayonne workers. He did nothing to enforce the law and make people build affordable housing for our residents and seniors. His actions have deprived our children of the funding necessary to give them a world-class education for the next 30 years. Just last week, the mayor spent $10,000 of our money on a study for a $62 million gondola project that will drop 3,000 more people an hour to our already overburdened light rail system. I'm not sure if you saw the video, but his defense of that is he wants it because he believes, and I quote, "it would be cool." We cannot simply afford another 4 years of this administration's wasteful spending. And I'm here tonight to tell you that May 8th has never just been about the Davis team failures, but about the hope of what we want for our city's future. That is why we've released a plan to fix the seemingly never-ending parking situation and to improve the overall quality of life for all of our residents, including putting on-duty police officers in each of our schools at no cost to the taxpayers.
That's time, Jason.
Time?
Yeah. All right, thanks, guys. Just going to let Corey lead it off, and we're going to talk about first everybody's favorite topic, tax abatements. And we're going to start with Dr. Graf.
So, tax abatements, are they necessary to facilitate development? If so, when does the time come to start negotiating for shorter pilot lifespans and more community benefit agreements attached to them?
Well, on the subject of tax abatements, I think they're a useful tool for development, but I think they need to be, you have to look at each project individually to see if it's deserving of a tax abatement. I've always been for tax abatements when they don't burden the community and the community's future. Take a project, say on Broadway, that's along a light rail node, where you have a building that's mainly going to be for people that are young professionals commuting to, say, the financial area of Jersey City. Those people really aren't going to pose a burden in terms of the school system because they don't have big families. They're not going to pose a burden on infrastructure. I mean, there's not a high criminality, so they're not going to be a burden on police. Buildings are usually up to standards or higher for fire codes, so they're not going to be a burden on the fire department. So if you're talking about a structure that's going to be put up and that's going to bring people into the city that are going to raise our median income, spur development along Broadway, and not burden the town's budget going forward in terms of requiring services and infrastructure, those are the types of projects you want to give abatements to. Other types of
That's time. Any rebuttal? Rebuttal? No?
All right, Jason?
So, as a tool, sure. Here's the problem. We've received no jobs, no project labor agreements for the working men and women of our labor unions. No affordable housing. Think about that. The working men and women of the city of Bayonne can't afford $2,500 to $3,000 a month apartments. And no money for our children's education. We have given these abatements away 40 times, multi-million-dollar tax breaks. 40 times. And what do we get in return? The promise of future revenues. I have a bigger problem. All the while we're doing these tax breaks, back in December of 2014, an ordinance was passed that took away the 5-year abatement for homeowners when they do repairs on their homes. 5 years, a 5-year tax break for somebody who just wants to put money into their home, to make it better for their children. Maybe he had a bedroom for another child, side, roof. That was ended. But yet we continued on and did 40 multi-million-dollar tax breaks. And I have the ordinance here if you gentlemen would like to see it. I have copies for you.
That's done. Thank you, Jason. Rebuttal from the mayor?
Excuse me?
Rebuttal from the mayor?
Am I talking or rebuttal?
Rebuttal. Would you like to rebut to the?
No, it's
No?
fine.
Okay.
All right, go ahead, Mayor, you can answer the question.
All right, like I said, my father taught me when I was young, when you're in a hole, stop digging. City of Bayonne, when I took office, had a $24 million structural deficit. That's $24 million. We collect every single tax dollar on January 1st. When I put the key in the door at City Hall, we're $24 million short. The one-shot deals that have been done in the past administrations, especially the ones that were done when he was in the administration, all they did was plug a hole. Ladies and gentlemen, if we don't fix this structural deficit, we don't survive fiscally. These pilots, number one, I will say, pay money. They pay taxes. So anybody tells you they don't pay is lying to you. In fact, if you look at the 40 pilots that we're talking about, over the life of 35 years, if you left the projects or the properties alone with a 2% increase, they would pay $51 million in taxes over 35 years to the city of Bayonne. The pilots will pay $516 million.
Thank you.
Next topic?
I get a chance to rebut that?
You can, sure.
Go ahead.
The mayor talks about past administration, and I wasn't the mayor, I don't know if he's aware of that. But he talks about one-shot deals. He sold $45 million worth of future revenue for $28 million in current return. $45 million and received 28. Now,
And
I don't know if that's a good deal.
30 seconds is up.
Is it up? Yeah. I don't know if that's a good deal. I don't. In my house, it's not. So one-shot deals didn't end. They did not. And I hear a lot of wood and cooks and issues.
Okay, I'd like 30 seconds.
Well, the mayor asked for the rebut first, so.
That's right. And prior to that, we sold the most lucrative piece of property on the military ocean terminal to the Port Authority, who doesn't pay taxes. That was administration prior to me.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Dr. Brown, you want to?
Yeah, I just want to say that the type of abatements that the mayor has given out, 40 abatements, I'm not going to doubt Mr. O'Donnell, are not the types of projects that I would give abatements to. They're mainly for, going to be a burden on the infrastructure. They're going to have families that are going to require schools. They're going to increase traffic. They're going to require police. That's not the type of projects that you want to give abatements to. And the mayor has given out millions and millions of dollars of them. And we, homeowners in Bayonne, are going to be paying for that for the next 30 years. That's time.
All right, gentlemen, so you read my mind. We're going to be talking about infrastructure now. So we're going to start with Jason O'Donnell this time. And the question is, can the city's infrastructure handle the influx of new residents and commuters that will come as a result of the current developments, and why or why not?
So let's talk about that commuters and handling them. I don't think the mayor has a plan. The fact that you would talk about bringing a gondola from Staten Island that would drop 3,000 people on a rail, and anybody here who rides the light rail knows that we can barely hold another 150 to 200 people. Clearly have a plan. We need to look no further than what happened last winter with our water pipes. How many water lines broke this winter? Now the question becomes, add 8,000 more, 9,000, 10,000 more people to the city of Bayonne, and what happens? Who's going to pay for that infrastructure? Here's the other thing. I don't know if any of you folks got stuck in traffic on the way here, but Bayonne is plagued by traffic, and any more cars is not. So one just needs to stand on Avenue E in the morning at 7:30 and see what we've done to people's commuting times. See what's happened. That's not going to get any better. And the truck traffic from the new warehouse is certainly going to add to that.
Mayor Davis.
Okay. Number one, let me just straighten out the gondola question. It's a feasibility study that we're involved with New York City. And the only way it works for the city of Bayonne is if the people who are driving here from Staten Island to get on our light rail system can now leave their car in Staten Island and take the gondola to the light rail station. Parking spots out of our neighborhoods. As far as our infrastructure, yes, our water system is old. Some of our pipes are 100 years old, and 100 years ago they didn't have technology to make pipes to last 100 years. But as far as our water system, it can handle the influx. Every building that goes to get built in Bayonne has to be approved by the state of New Jersey for the infrastructure. And that's how we take care of this, and that's how we know. And it's funny because when they sold the water in 2013, they promised, back then they were paying $20 million. They promised they would pay them $26 million in 2015.
Thank you, Mayor.
There you go.
I think our infrastructure can handle an increase in residents. I mean, we have enough water, we have enough sewage. The problem is that, you know, with the fiscal spending that we've been doing, there's not enough in reserve to do infrastructure repairs, which we may need and have a fund for. The mayor relies on handouts from the government to repair broken sewerage and things like that. We should have enough in reserve just in case we need something for infrastructure repairs. I have a $1,400 water bill. I don't show it to Jason or the mayor that I have from last quarter, but Jason. We're certainly paying enough for water and sewage in this town. As for police and fire, I think we need to grow into our police and fire department. I think we have enough police and fire department to handle any kind of inflow of residents. So yeah, I think the town has enough infrastructure to handle the increased population. As for parking, of course, we need parking. I don't think a gondola is the way that we're going to keep cars out of Bayonne. Right at the base of where the gondola would be is a proposed space that the 2story buildings are going to be. We could use that for parking in the meantime.
Here's the problem. Staten Island already did a study. And the Staten Island Economic Development Corporation did a study, and it said 3,000 people per hour in rush hour. Had the mayor read that, he would have saved $10,000. Let me say that again. $10,000. The other thing I'd like to say is I really wrote the 2014 debate book because I wasn't mayor. And I didn't have
First of all, you were the mayor's right hand man. Gentlemen, it's a feasibility study that New York City wants to do with us. It costs $220,000 to do this study. We were obligated for $10,000. If it's a way to make cars come off our streets and stop parking in our neighborhoods, then I will look at it.
About parking and traffic and things like that, we have to look at the projects that the mayor's proposed for the waterfront. We're talking about bringing in a 90-acre industrial warehouse instead of a beautiful office building or luxury apartments, which is going to overflow our roads with traffic, trucks, congestion, and 3,000 people, low knows where to work in an industrial warehouse. I just don't see us handling traffic. It takes me 20, 25 minutes getting in and out of 14A interchange when I want to leave town or come back into town.
Time. Thank you.
Next question is for the mayor. Can you detail your plan to keep taxes level when you're elected? Can you detail your plan to keep municipal taxes level?
The only thing you can do is stabilize taxes right now. Anybody tells you anything different, they're lying to you. Anybody tells you they're going to lower your taxes, they're lying to you. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a structural deficit. And until that deficit is down to a number we can deal with, lowering taxes only adds to the deficit. So you start pushing the pendulum back in the wrong way. Stabilizing it is by economic development. And that's exactly what we're doing. We have taken empty lots throughout this city and we're putting buildings on them so that we can get tax revenue. Tax revenue that some of these lots have been empty for decades. And we're not getting any money from it. The military ocean terminal for the last 20 years has sat dormant. It's dormant no longer. And that's for the first time in 20 years. We have a promise that was promised to us 20 years ago that is finally coming into place. That's how you start thinking.
Yeah, I just want to say that structural deficit is just another way of saying fiscal mismanagement over many years. Anybody that knows what a structural deficit is, you don't have to be an economist to know that there's only two ways of reducing a structural deficit. That's either increasing taxes or decreasing spending. Okay? The Davis administration has done nothing but decrease spending. I'm not lying to you. I am going to cut spending. I'm going to cut municipal payroll and I will cut taxes. There is a way to do it. The proposed income that the mayor is talking about cannot reduce the structural deficit.
So while I agree with the mayor that anyone who says they can lower taxes is probably just pulling your leg. But I have a question. We still don't have a city council budget. We don't have a budget for this year. So we don't know what the tax increase is going to be. The mayor talks about fiscal responsibility from court documents. In his first year, he hired over 100 new employees. It's undisputable.
We're all here.
Undisputable. So we cannot... 30 seconds.
Go.
So, yeah, it's not a rebuttal yet. So we can't cry that we're broke and then go on a spending spree and hire and hire and hire. And that is a fact. We have to get our fiscal house in order and we have to have an adult conversation because the taxpayers can no longer afford it. When is it enough? When is it enough?
It's election year, no tax rate.
When is it enough? When is it enough?
Guys, real quick, if we could just please have no yelling out. I know everyone's very passionate about this race, but if we could try to keep it semi-cordial, that would be great. Thank you. please, come on, guys. Kill it.
So we can't have it both ways, and it's time to have an adult conversation with the public. We're taxing our seniors out of here. We're creating an environment where our children do not come back from college, they move elsewhere. It's time to have that conversation.
Ready for the next topic? You good?
100 hirees, most of them are cops and firemen and crossing guards and meter maids. We have basically the same amount of cops and firemen and city workers, roughly within a 20-person margin.
Thank you. Anything else?
That's factually incorrect, but I'd like to have the paperwork with me tonight, but when you open something with the city of Bayonne, you have to wait 30 days now to get documents. So I will provide is symbolic of the candidate Davis who complained about the nepotism of the last administration, and his first hire was his out-of-town nephew. So first hire in Maine. So let's talk about that.
Talk about it?
Yeah.
All right, can I talk about it?
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was the chief of staff. It is the most personal person a mayor will have next to them. He's my nephew, and he was a councilman in Roselle Park at the time.
Violation of the city ordinance. Violation of the city ordinance.
Just like your signs.
All right, come on. So, all right, we're going to move on. Now we are going to... All right, guys, so let's talk a little bit about campaign cash. So, hundreds of thousands of dollars in outside campaign cash have played a role in this election cycle. How could you assure voters that will not influence your administration in any way, shape, or form? And we're going to start with Dr. Brown.
Well, I mean, if anybody knows, has looked at my election funds, I'm running not on a shoestring budget, but a dental floss budget. I have some donors, which are my colleagues in the hospital, but otherwise I funded it myself. I'm not in the pocket of any kind of contractors or developers. I don't have any unions behind me putting attack ads on TV. What you see is what you get, and I'm not beholden to anybody, so I can best represent the people of Bayonne, and not my cronies, and not my the people that paid for my campaign.
So I'm proud of the donations we've received. We've received donations from $25 to $100. And to Dr. Brown's point, I'm proud of the money we've received from organized labor. They've invested in me because they know I believe in them, and I'll put people to work. That's number one. Number two, my opponent has made some issue of that, but yet they haven't talked about their own account. $13,000 checks, totals over $100,000 from the very developers that are getting 40-year pilots and tax breaks here in the city. Look, the mayor ran 4 years ago, and a prominent law firm in the state of New Jersey ran a PAC, and they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars to see him get elected. And most of the work that's been done has been done by that law firm. You do the math, guys. My election is complete. You can look at it, and I stand by every donation we've received.
Go ahead, man.
Approximately 65% of my money comes from the people of Bayonne. We get over 400 Bayonne people come to my fundraisers. Do I have outside people giving me money? Absolutely, every politician does.
That's right.
And that's how it works. That's how the system works until someone fixes it. There's a reason why those two unions didn't back me. Because if you go back to 2009, when I was working with the FBI, I locked up many of their businesses. Where many of them were arrested for corruption in their own unions.
I'm going to imagine there's a rebuttal somewhere.
Those unions didn't support Mayor Davis. You can talk about FBI, state police. They didn't support him because he did nothing to get them to work. He may not know, but per capita, Bayonne, New Jersey is home to more men and women of organized labor than anywhere else in the state of New Jersey. And it's sad to see them drive past job after job to other towns to make a living and support their families, and you have done nothing to help them. That they didn't support you, Mayor.
And that's why when we did the groundbreaking for Costco, I took a picture of the operating engineer who is a union operating engineer.
So, my opinion of crime, and we have police officers here, I think they do a great job. But we have crime, and we've tried to cover it up in terms of denying it. We need to look no further than what happened on Halloween. People were just taking their kids trick-or-treating. Anybody explain that to me? We had a daytime shooting at 3 o'clock in a playground where my son frequents on First Street. That was on Facebook and social media denied. We had a 2 p.m. shooting on 20th Street and Avenue C. These aren't things that we should accept. The mayor's going to say we're the 7th or 9th safest city, but he's not going to quote the FBI on that again because that's not an FBI statistic. That's not a New Jersey State Police statistic. That was released by a for-profit home security company. Let me ask you folks, do you feel safer today?
Yes.
Ask that to the woman who got pistol whipped and robbed on 18th Street and Avenue
What
Way
about the
at
family?
11:30 at night.
There's no police
At
report on.
11:30 at night.
Yeah, come on.
So, to your question, no, I think we can do better. We always can do better. The solution, though, is not to tell people to lock their doors when we have a rash of.
What about the gangs?
Go ahead, Mayor.
Okay. Absolutely, we can always do better. I was a police officer here for 28 years. These incidences have always been happening. Is it something we sit on? Absolutely not. We have a great police department that works hard. But the fact of the matter is, there were shootings when you supposedly was public safety. Because I was a captain in the Bayonne Police Department, and you never once showed up to your office next to the chief. In one house, in one shooting. So don't use crime and don't use victims. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have to work together to make this city better. And we all have to work together. Because that's how you make a city safer, that's how you make a city better.
Yeah, I think Bayonne is a relatively safe community. I mean, in certain surveys, it's like ranked 7th safest of 35 cities our size. However, I haven't seen what most, police departments have been going to, which is community policing. I haven't seen that done. I haven't seen, whenever I see a policeman, he's kind of whizzing by in a police car. I don't see them walking on the street. And I don't see community policing. I haven't had an officer come to my office, introduce himself to me, say, I'm Officer so-and-so, I'm assigned to your blocks or whatever. And that's the type of policing that we should get. Instead of reactive policing, we have a crime, and then a police presence for a certain amount of time. I think we need consistency. Police in the area that get to know who the bad guys are, get to know who the people working in the community are, and then you have what's called preventive policing. What we see now, especially since the mayor's a policeman, is we need a change in the way the policing is done.
I find it disturbing that daytime shootings are something that the mayor can say happened all the time or have happened in the past. I don't remember any. And in terms of the tragic murders in the domestic violence incident on Avenue A and 4th Street, and I was there, to make light of that, it's disturbing. It really is disturbing. We will get what we're willing to accept. And if you're willing to accept daytime shootings at playgrounds, on Avenue C and 20th Street, and say it's always happened.
Time, Jason.
That's
All right, just to let you know about that incident, I was the captain on the command that day, and you were not there.
I was there. You can go back and look at the reports.
Before we go further, guys, please, I'm begging you. I'm on my knees. Can we stop yelling out just for like a couple minutes? I'm begging
leading off this time. And a fairly open-ended question. How would you promise a more transparent, accessible government if re-elected? Obviously, for you guys, it's elected. Mayor?
Didn't hear the question.
Sure. How would you promise a more transparent and accessible government if re-elected?
If you're talking about accessible, I'm probably the most successful mayor there has been in years. I have seen more people in the mayor's office that live in the city of Bayonne than probably any other mayor.
That's right.
I see hundreds of people every month. You've all opened my schedule. And that don't include the people that come to the office who just want to come in and see me. And they want to come in, they want to talk about problems, they want to come in and talk about personal things, and they want to talk about things they like going on in Bayonne or things they'd like to see going on in Bayonne. I am the most open-ended and easiest going person you will ever meet when it comes to something like that, especially when it comes to being the mayor of this city.
As mayor, I'm also not only positioned, but I'm an attorney. I would be more responsive to open public records requests than the mayor has been. Certainly he's blocked, or his administration or his legal team has blocked the release of information regarding settlements for police brutality. So I will be totally transparent. Any open public records requests will be granted without delay and without any kind of roadblocks. In terms of being accessible, I see hundreds of people every day. They tell me their medical problems, but not only do they tell me their medical problems, they tell me all the problems with Bayonne. Okay? I hear these problems all day. So in terms of accessibility, I'm personally accessible also.
Thank you, Doctor.
The first thing we're going to do is comply with the law, and the Oprah law is pretty clear. This administration has not done that. Routine Oprahs take 30 days. Things that you can click a button and print take 30 days. We're going to put everything on the website. People shouldn't have to come to City Hall and file Oprahs and argue with the law director or the clerk. We're going to put it on the website and be open and honest. But let's be for real. This administration spent taxpayer dollars to hide a settlement. Fact, they spent your money to hide a settlement. And the mayor was quoted as saying, well, nobody came and asked me. I saw the interview, and the mayor said, although it was in the paper dozens of times, he doesn't read the paper. He had no idea that his own lawyers and city clerk were in court, Superior Court, Appeals Court, had no idea. We have blocked information that is rightly ours, and we have spent our own money doing it. We have to stop this. People can no longer afford it. We're driving people out of the town.
The reason that lawsuit wasn't released is because the defendants, our JIF and the plaintiff's lawyers wanted it sealed because not only was there a victim, but there were two other people in the lawsuit. One was underage and one was of special needs. So they were looking to have it sealed. I only did what the lawyers said. As far as reading the papers, no, ladies and gentlemen, I've said it before, Corey's going to yell at me later, but I don't read the Jersey Journal.
So it's a simple answer. Why after 4 years are we just finding out now that there were children involved and a special needs child involved? Why? We're only finding out now because it's election time. We've spent money, our money, to hide what is rightfully ours. We've spent taxpayer dollars to block that information.
And you could redact certain information. There's no reason why the request couldn't have been granted. I'm for transparency. I will release records when they're requested.
Thanks, Doctor. All right, go ahead, Corey.
This question is for Dr. Brown. How would you describe the condition of Broadway, and how would you improve Broadway if elected?
Well, Broadway is a disaster. Broadway is blank. We have property owners that are not keeping up their properties. We have empty storefronts, they're not kept up. We need the building inspectors to go in and make sure property owners comply with building ordinances. I think the development that we need to have is on Broadway, bring in young professionals that will increase the median income of the town. It's only by increasing the median income of the town that you'll have high-end retail pop up on Broadway, because they'll need restaurants, they'll need entertainment, they'll need, type of stores. You're not going to get Panera Bread or Starbucks to come onto Broadway without increasing the median income of the town. The median income of Hoboken is about $110,000. Our median income is around $50,000. You're not going to raise the median income by bringing in low-income wage workers to industrial warehouses. You need it by bringing in high-wage workers that can have careers and jobs here.
Well, 4 years ago, candidate Davis said that he would not build box stores on the outskirts because they would choke the lifeline of Bayonne, that's Broadway. That's precisely what he's done and tried to do. Broadway's a difficult problem. We don't shop the same way. Amazon has taken over the world. But we have to do it smart. And we actually have to do the things that we say we're going to do. 4 years ago, we said we were going to build an amphitheater on Broadway somewhere and kiosks. None of those things happen. We need to put residents on top of the stores so that they can walk down and shop in those places. The formula is easy. We just look at other places that are having success, such as Hoboken and Red Bank and places like that. But we have to be bold. We absolutely have to be bold and make changes. One of the things I'd like to do after 8 o'clock is shut Broadway down in certain sections and make it a pedestrian walk. It's worked in other places to get people out on the street. If we don't do that, Broadway will continue to deteriorate. And there's nothing any of us can do about that.
Time, Jason.
4 years ago, I did a video to Bruce Springsteen's song called My Hometown. And it was a video of all the blighted and empty storefronts on Broadway. It was so long that we had to start replaying the song so that we could have the video. That video broke my heart. And that's what drives me today to make Broadway better. And Broadway today compared to 4 years ago is no comparison. Look at downtown Broadway between 5th Street and Cottage Street and see how much that has grown. And when you look at the developments that we are doing in Bayonne right now, they're all around Broadway, and they break Broadway down into sections. And the people living in them buildings, where do you think they're going to go? They're going to go to Broadway. That's how you fix your Main Street USA after it's done.
I don't know what Broadway the mayor has been walking down on the song here. All I see on Broadway is what would be described as ultra low-end retail. There's nail salons, there's massage parlors, there's Chinese takeout places. It's blighted. The mayor hasn't done anything to help Broadway. 4 years, nothing. Broadway still continues to be a blighted avenue, and it needs to come back, and we're not going to do it on the path that we're doing it now.
This is the third or fourth time I've heard the story about the broken heart listening to Bruce Springsteen. I was born and raised in the city of Bayonne and never left. I've shopped on Broadway my whole life, but for some 14, 16 years when you lived in Broadway, it certainly didn't break your heart. I just don't know that you're that committed to fixing Broadway.
Yeah, I did, ladies and gentlemen. That's the big secret. I lived in Broadway for 11 years. It's no secret. And I moved back here in 2000. Okay? And I didn't leave the Bayonne Police Department after 20 years to go work for a lobbyist firm down the street. I stayed here for 28 years. Even when I lived in Broadway, I was here every single day, and I owned businesses in town. And every single day protecting the people that live in this.
One of the lies that we talk about in the lobbyist that work for a lobbying firm. But you did leave. When you chose to buy your first house, you sought greener pastures and you left. And in terms of the businesses you owned, there were taverns, which I believe police officers couldn't own. So again, one set of rules for you, another set of rules for others. And for the 20 years I spent here, I retired 20 years because that's the rules. You're allowed to retire in 20 years. So, you know what? You tried to change the rules once for a pension. I remember I was in Trenton.
Jason, time. All right, so we're going to start with Jason on this one, and then we'll get to the audience questions after this. But this is an important one. What's your overall short-term and long-term vision for the former military ocean terminal?
So short term, obviously now it's been encumbered by some 40-odd deals that give pilots and tax breaks to developers. Short term, we have to figure out a way to get people working off those. Long term, look, I'd like to encourage office buildings so that people can come here and work. Look, downtown Jersey City has office buildings, and that's what supplied the need for residential. Look, this mayor's own council candidate, his third ward council candidate said, if we have a downturn in the economy, and this was just a couple of weeks ago, and nobody rents these apartments, we're stuck. We're stuck. And we're on the hook for this. That's our future. And I got news for you. The quality of developers that are down there are certainly suspect. I can say that. When somebody buys 4 acres of land for $500,000 an acre, 4 acres for $500,000 an acre. Think about that. That's a fire sale. That was a giveaway. Time.
Well, my vision's already in motion. A lot of people had plans for over 20 years and nobody did anything. Okay, and one of those developers who we consider is not good, Joe Forgione, brought us Costco and is bringing us Starbucks. Three of the developers that are down there, I inherited. Because some of them were given the development project back in 2004, 2006. And yet we collected no money from them. But now they're in the ground building. You have 525 units with the Halperns. You got 98 with the Guptas from Jersey City starting up. And in a couple months, in 2 months, KRE, which was the original Fidelco, who bought the first property there back in probably 2001 or 2002, is finally going in the ground with their first phase of 400 units. And as far as Lincoln Equities, they purchased Ports of America property.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think the mayor has set us on a course for future disaster with this development and MLT. My vision would have been for high-rise office buildings and hotels and things that would have provided careers for people. What you're going to get now is a 90-acre industrial warehouse where truck traffic and 3,000 low-skilled industrial warehouse employees are going to be coming in and out of Bayonne. You're talking about abatements given to Mr. Forgione. He's going to give us a Starbucks. Well, thank you. You got millions of dollars in abatements for a 550 unit resident development that's going to house families and take up infrastructure and traffic and not return anything to the taxpayers of Bayonne. We're going to be subsidizing their living. Okay, we're going to be paying their taxes for the next 30 years. And the mayor has consistently given away these things.
That's not happening.
We're going to be paying them.
So, I'm not opposed to the Costco. I get it. But you're going to put a Costco in the middle of high-end luxury housing. Who's going to live there? Next to gas pumps with trucks filling with diesel? You're gonna spend $3,000 a month to live outside of Costco? Really? It's poor planning. It's absolutely poor planning. And to Dr. Brown's point, the warehouse is not going to bring us the jobs that people can support their families on. What it will bring us is truck traffic. And if anybody takes the turnpike every time, they will feel it.
Since everybody spoke about truck traffic and the base, that's why they redid 14A. You can come off, when this is completed, you will come off the turnpike and directly onto the base without having to get onto 440 or Avenue E as soon as the project is.
I just want to clarify a point. Structural deficits are only reduced by either increasing taxes or lowering spending. The mayor's obviously done nothing to lower spending. These proposed communities are not going to yield anything that will reduce the structural deficit because they're based on fluctuations in the market, okay? And the proposed income is not short income, okay? So you can't even talk about reducing a structural deficit by any development in the MOT because it just...
Hi, Doctor. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hoboken, Weehawken, Jersey City, and Harrison have all done what we are doing. And that's how you fix the finances. This is no joke. These pilots over a 35-year period will yield the city $516 million in tax revenue.
Yeah, that's a complete pipe dream, and it's only speculating.
It's reality.
All right, folks, so as promised, we're going to get moving with some audience questions. So, Corey, lead us off.
I have one for Mayor. So Costco will soon occupy a parcel of land in Montpelier, but before that there was a pavilion tent on the property for entertainment purposes there. Why was that project unsuccessful?
It was unsuccessful for one thing because it was supposed to be a temporary project. It was a, listen, when I came in, there was lawsuits on the base and there could not be any development on the base because of the lawsuits. So what I did was look at the property and say, how can we make some money on this while we're sitting here waiting to settle the lawsuits, which were generated by the Port Authority land sale. So what we did, when you look at it, actually, if you see the sign down there, if you drive down the base and you see the cruise port sign, the triangle sign, you know, we get $36,000 a year for having that sign there, which we never had. But what happened with the pavilion was that it took them way too long to build it. And it was a little more, what didn't you understand about temporary? So that's why it never really got off the ground. But it was something that we were just trying to get money. You're looking at vacant land, and tired of looking at vacant land all the time. How can we make some money off of it until we can settle these lawsuits and then start developing it? That's all that was.
Thank you.
Next question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, the tent, I have a contract right here with Medical Tourism TV. I don't know what they do, but it's a 3-year contract. It calls for $5,000 a month for 5 months each year, and 1% of the gross revenues that are taken in for events. Mayor, do you have any idea how much money we brought in over that time as the landlords of that property?
Probably about $15,000.
$15,000. So rudimentary med says somebody owes us money, correct?
No, because the leases were for 1 year at a time, and we canceled it when Howard Lee was actually buying the property. And for the first year, it took them over a year to build the tent. So the first year was lost. So then the second year, I think they ran maybe 2 or 3 functions, and that was about it. But ladies and gentlemen, we lost no money. It didn't cost the city anything.
According to building permit, it costs about $800,000 to erect. Who paid for that?
I don't know.
Who paid for that? To host 8 events?
The city of Bayonne did not pay.
But the city of Bayonne didn't know.
Gentlemen,
The
let's
city of
please.
Bayonne did not pay one penny.
Anything you want to add, Doctor?
I have nothing to add.
All right.
I'm lowering about $15,000 when we're spending millions and millions of dollars on fat in City Hall. So
All right, so, since that was the specific question, I'm going to go with a question that's specific to candidate O'Donnell again from the audience. So, Jason, according to your campaign literature, you consolidated 3 municipal departments to save taxpayers money. What departments and how much savings is the question?
So when I went to municipal services, we had a director of health, we had a director of planning, somebody was in charge of the building department. We moved recreation over to that, took it from public works. By not replacing those directors, saved hundreds of thousands of dollars. Now, it wasn't my brainchild. I was just tasked to get it started and up and running with the theory that we didn't need all of those directors. We had enough subordinates to run the departments, and I, as a director, would handle, like all directors do, the day-to-day and budgeting. So that's what I did there.
When you were an accident.
Anything to add, gentlemen? Okay. Go ahead, Claire.
I have a reader question, it's not specific.
Start with Dr.
Brett. What are the long-term effects of the 20 and 30-year tax payments on the city's ability to fund the school district and provide other important services for Bayonne residents?
it's catastrophic. Catastrophic. Going forward, you're not collecting, especially if you have developments where you can have families with kids. You got to provide teachers, you got to provide schools. If you're having tax abatements and pilot payments that don't support the increased number of children that you're going to have to send to school, somebody's got to pay for it. And it's going to be me, the homeowner, that actually pays a lot of taxes. And I pay, just under $30,000 a year in taxes. Half of that, or almost half of that, 40-something% of it goes to the school and the Board of Education. There's also a lot of fat in the Board of Education that needs to be cut. But still, when you're giving abatements, 20, 30-year abatements, the schools are going to be shortchanged. And the taxpayers, the property owners of Bayonne, are going to be actually funding, the kids of those residents to go to school. And it's going to be very burdensome. It's going to be catastrophic going forward.
Thanks, Doctor.
The effects are going to be catastrophic. 30-year pilots. The next 3 decades, we will shortchange our children's education. The next 3 decades, think about that. And only on the last few pilots has this administration sought to give 5% of those monies brought in. Now, we can't cry that we're shorted every year by the state when we're doing it to ourselves. Think about that. Anybody who thinks that these residences aren't going to have children to some degree, I'm not going to put a number on it. The fact of the matter is there will be children. And as the father of children that went to the Bayonne Public Schools, classes are getting crowded. Teachers don't have the resources. How do we continue to shorten them year after year after year for the sake of buildings, for the sake of development? It's irresponsible.
Thanks, Jason.
Number one, it doesn't shortchange the Board of Education because they get their money. They get their money. They get their money from the city of Bayonne and from the state. And in fact, when Mr. O'Donnell was an assemblyman for 6 years, we got no extra money. $5 to $6 million more in funding for our schools. So the schools get their money. If the school comes to me and they say our budget is $100 million and the state gives them 48, I have to give them 52. We have to. I'm part of the week.
So fine.
All right. Any rebuts?
Yeah, I mean, the people that are getting the abatements aren't part of the week, If you don't have that money, the people that pay property taxes have to pay more. And the kids are shortchanged. They have to go to bigger classes. You know, teachers are not getting a good deal. So, I mean, it's a disaster waiting to happen.
Again, with the lies, $5 to $6 million, I don't know what city you're living in, Mayor, because we haven't received that kind of money over the past few years. But to your point, if you have to cover the money, then why a 6% tax increase last year from the Bayonne Board of Education? Why didn't you just cover it? Why didn't you cover that money? Because it's not true. You don't cover the money.
Go ahead, man.
As a result of the appointment, dedicated professionals in the Board of Education.
I agree. I'm not criticizing the board, but the mayor is saying he made a statement that they cover what the board needs. Is that fact? Yes. Mr. Wolbeck, you objected yourself. Is that fact? Is it?
Yes, it's a fact.
So why the 6% increase?
All right, guys, let's move on.
The 6% increase was because for 4 years, when the teachers were out of contract, your administration that you were a part of didn't raise taxes for 4 years in the school budget and put them in a bind. That's what happened. For 4 years, you didn't raise anything, but you didn't pay the teachers.
No, you're right. I didn't. Because I didn't have the ability to. I wasn't the mayor or a council person.
And you
I would hope that you're the mayor, that's your council. I never voted for a tax increase because I wasn't the mayor or a city council person.
All right. Mayor, come on, let's move on, guys. Let's move on. Next topic, please.
That's the
Did I tell you we were gonna have fun? All right, we're gonna start with Jason on this question. Do you feel the mosque is in the right location? If so, why? And if not, why not? Hold on.
Go ahead.
Do you feel the mosque is in the right location? And if so, why? If not, why not?
If the mosque is in the right location, why not?
Yeah.
First off, we can't talk about the mosque without talking about the $400,000 taxpayer-funded stuff. The mayor's going to say it's not taxpayer-funded. Where's the money come from? Where does the money come from? Who funds the insurance? The insurance fair. That's right, I forgot about that. Taxpayers pay that bill. Just like car insurance, your rates go up the next year. So the fact of the matter is, there's lack of his leadership to not get that done and face $400,000. We had no problem in the face of adversity and public outcry getting a 10-story building built on Broadway. Those residents didn't have a chance. Matt, to answer your question, I don't think it's the ideal spot for a mosque. It's a dead-end street. It's a dead-end street. But the fact of the matter is, in the United States of America, we have the right to practice and have freedom of religion.
Time.
Leadership, ladies and gentlemen, is allowing your boards, in this case the zoning board, to do their job. They did their job, and they did their job, because if I had stepped in and asked them to vote one way or the other, I'm not a leader, I'm a dictator. And I'm not a dictator. Do I think it's in the right place or the wrong place? That has no bearing. They purchased the property, and they have every right to file in the zone. We had no choice but to allow the process to go through. Once it was turned down, they filed a federal lawsuit against us. And if you have read in New Jersey, cities are paying anywhere from $7 to $12 million for settlements because it's a whole different bearing once you go to federal court. And our lawyers with the JIP said to me, if we can settle this for $400,000, we will pay it. Otherwise, we're out and you're on your own with the fight.
Leaders facilitate the process. I think there was an absence of leadership in this case. I mean, to ask if where a mosque should go, what should have been done are community impact studies, traffic studies to see the noise, credible evidence should have been produced to see if the mosque was in the right place, but it wasn't done. And there was no guidance to the boards, the zoning boards and the other boards that delayed the mosque, so that there was an implication of bias that was religious in nature. Okay? Because the mayor didn't do the proper assessments to prove to the community that he either was in the right place or the wrong place. So there was no guidance. All right? So we don't know what would have been the proper thing to do because the evidence was never produced. As a lawyer, I would not go into court without evidence, without a credible firm saying, well, this is going to be the impact on the community, it's going to be okay, or it's not going to be okay. All right?
Time. Rebuttal, so?
Yeah, he was first.
All right.
Oh, I got it.
Go ahead.
That's up to the people who purchased the property, and those studies were done, and there was evidence as well during the zoning board hearings that was produced to the people.
I'm not here to admit it, and they weren't credible. They couldn't be credible studies. And if there weren't credible studies, if there weren't credible studies for or against, then you either go with it and you go to court, or you don't put roadblocks in front of the mosque and your zoning boards and your planning boards. That's the bottom line.
All right. We're going to do two more questions, so one from each of us, and then we're going to do the closing, just so everybody's on the same page.
This question is for Mayor Davis. How do you expect people to continue to live here with property taxes rising and with no addition to affordable housing, with thousands of new units regular residents can't afford?
Okay. When I was elected, I told everybody that I was going to fix the city's financial woes, and that's what we are doing. But I also said, when I was elected, that I'm here for everybody that lives in this city. Not just the new people we're looking to bring in, but also the people who live here and call this home for their lifetime. Okay? We have, and we will, build affordable housing in Bayonne. We have $1.4 million in our affordable housing trust fund, and there's a lot more coming. And that money will be used to build affordable housing so that it doesn't fall on the taxpayer. The other thing I can tell you is, for the first time in 20 years, our housing authority has purchased property and will be building their first new senior housing project. This is about not leaving anybody behind. Now, I understand we look at these rents and we say, oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry.
The mayor's been in office for 4 years. How much affordable housing has been built or proposed? Absolutely zero. Absolutely no affordable housing has been proposed. And if you talk about the income from all the pilots and things that he's granted, there's been no income from it. Okay? No pilots or abatements under his administration have generated 1 penny for the city of Bayonne, and that's a fact. Okay? So why are we going to give another 4 years? It doesn't make sense.
Thanks, Tom.
Not only are we not receiving money into our affordable housing trust fund because it's written in the pilot agreements. They've been given a pass. And here's the problem we're going to have in the future. The law is the law. And once we pass the threshold, after these 5,000 units or 4,000 units are built, somebody's going to be stuck building affordable housing throughout the city so that we comply with the Mount Holly decision. That's the real problem here. The short-term problem is we don't have affordable housing for our seniors. And I'd like to know more about that project. I can imagine if that project was really real, we'd have seen schematics and drawings by now, given how close we are to the election. So I don't know how much faith I have in this project of 100 new apartments for a senior building.
Just to let you know, the property was purchased by the Housing Authority in February. They're hiring engineers and architects now to still through the process, and then come in with their plans. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not leaving anybody behind.
I get it. I get the catchphrase, not leaving anybody behind, but tell us how. Our seniors are getting priced out. There is no affordable housing on the horizon, Mayor. You said it yourself. You said it in your interview the other day. Zero. Read the pilot agreements. There's no requirement for affordable housing. How can you do that to the residents of the city of Bayonne? We're barely making it now.
The reason these new buildings don't have any affordable housing in it is because we are way above the threshold for affordable housing for the city of Bayonne. With that being said, I will say it again, that I will not leave anyone behind. And that's why this building is going to get built.
I think it's really disgraceful that an elderly person is priced out of their own home by taxes. And then after they have to sell their home, there's no affordable housing, or they have to wait 2-3 years for senior housing. It's despicable. Stop. Not going to end. You keep electing the same type of tax and spend administrations.
Thank you. All right, last one. So, this one is specifically for Jason O'Donnell again. Apparently now this question says, during the live interview with the Jersey Journal, you said you didn't know anything about the Dominic Lilo case as the public safety director. How is that possible?
Didn't happen. Never. Corey was there. I never said that, by the way.
Absolutely false. It was live, dude.
Simple.
If you can produce it, but the question didn't come up. Did it, Corey?
Yes, it did.
No, it didn't.
That I didn't know anything about the case?
Well, we asked about the
He
case.
said it was at the end of
How did you
his
ask?
term as
It
public
certainly was
safety
discussed,
director.
brought it up.
No. What was that?
The question specifically was, what is your opinion on these police brutality cases? And
Okay.
What would you say?
Different question.
That's a different
My position on the police brutality cases, they're important. They cost taxpayers dollars. But understand something. As the police director, it's not my job to be on the street. Hold on. It's not my job to be on the street supervising. The man to my right it was. The police captain who has day-to-day control over those guys. My opinion is this: we need to train our officers a little bit better. But guess what? They have a hard job. They have a very hard job, and I think they do a great job. We can do it better. I'm sure we will do it better. But at the end of the day, my opinion, they cost taxpayers money, and they wound up in the courts. The bigger problem was what you discussed with Mayor Davis in how we hid it and we fought to hide the settlement. That's the bigger problem here.
Thank you, Jason.
There was 4 or 5 police brutality lawsuits under Jason's tenure. Ladies and gentlemen, I can tell you today, since I took office, there hasn't been one. Police brutality lawsuit is brought against the city. But the biggest problem is not that we had to pay the money. It's about, or as they say, we were hiding it. No, we had to pay it. Because this is not Jason's fault. That police officer was definitely out of line. And what he did was horrible. And you know what? We had to pay the money. But what we have done is stop it. Because I don't want that happening again. I don't think anybody sitting up here wants that to happen again. It's about us.
I think the mayor has to push the police to change their MO towards community policing to prevent crimes from happening before they happen, to do rather than reactive policing, where there's a presence after a crime, to have people in the area that know the area to prevent crime. I think taking credit for no police brutality cases happening. It's sort of like Donald Trump taking credit for no air crashes in the past few years. It's something it's a sporadic event that can happen. You can't take credit for it not happening. Because isolated events can occur, and one can happen tomorrow. And I wouldn't blame the mayor if it happened, but I'm not going to give him credit when it doesn't happen.
Ready for closing? Yeah. All right. So 1 minute each. Just tell us your thoughts on why you're the best candidate to be the next mayor of Bayonne. Let's start with Jason. We're going to go in reverse order this time.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for attending tonight's debate. Events like these are important to raise public awareness about the issues that affect each and every one of us. I think there's a clear contrast between our team, our vision, and our commitment to this city, the city which I have lived in my entire life. I was born here, raised here, and now along with my wife Carrie, special education here in town, are raising our children here, Caroline, Jack, and Patrick. I never left. I never considered leaving, and I will be here till the end of my days. I have dedicated my life to the city that I love, whether it has been as a firefighter, an assemblyman, or even as a Little League coach. My focus has always been on making our city better. On May 8th, I'm asking for your support for the entire O'Donnell team so that together we can ensure that Bayonne is the best place it can be for all of our families. I thank you for your time this evening, and God bless each and every one of you.
Doctor, wrap it up for us.
Okay, I just want to thank everybody for coming tonight. Certainly, John and Corey, thank you for moderating this event. I'd just like to tell everybody that I'm not a tax and spend, I will not be a tax and spend mayor like the administrations that have preceded us. I intend to streamline city government, to reduce wasteful spending, improve services, and just increase fiscal responsibility and bring it back to city government. We're spending way too much. Every penny of our tax dollars is going to municipal payroll, and we don't have money to pay for anything that will improve the quality of life in our town. We don't have money to improve our library. We don't have money to increase recreational facilities. We don't have money for an animal shelter. We don't have money to increase pay for teachers and make repairs in our infrastructure. And that's because there's been no fiscal
I just want to thank everyone for being here. 4 years ago, Bayonne was decaying right before our eyes and on the path of financial ruin. Today, we have done a 180-degree turn, and we are moving forward, rebuilding our city and fixing the financial woes that have plagued this city for over 20 years. Empty lots that we all know by name are now becoming new developments. Our parks are being redone so that our children and families can enjoy them more. Our military ocean terminal is finally living up to the promise of many years. For the first time in years, we are not losing jobs. We are creating jobs by bringing new businesses to our city. But the biggest job, ladies and gentlemen, is fixing Bayonne. And it is not done yet. And we've got a lot more to do to get Bayonne where it needs to be. We've got parks to improve. We got businesses and shops to bring to Broadway. More recreation programs to create for our kids, and more ways to make government better serve the people.
Time.